I am Maria Garcia de Fleury. Elizabeth was born in the year 1271 in Saragossa, Spain. From a young age, she received a careful education aimed at becoming a queen and always showed an unwavering faith coupled with a desire to live a life of piety and to be a religious. But her childhood was short lived because her father agreed with Portugal to marry her to King Dionys when she was barely 11 years old. Becoming queen so young began a difficult time for her, but she won the affection of the people who admired her for her devotion and generosity. Although Dionys was a good ruler, he was a violent, unaffectionate, vicious, and unfaithful man, and that affected Elizabeth. However, he left her full freedom to devote herself to piety and charitable works. She got up at dawn, read the book of Psalms, attended Holy Mass, directed the work of the numerous staff of the palace. In her free time, she met with other ladies to sew and embroider and make dresses for the poor. The afternoons were dedicated to visiting the elderly and the sick and helping anyone who was in need. Elizabeth prayed for her husband, offered sacrifices for his conversion, and tried to persuade him with kind words to change his behavior. She went so far as to educate the natural children that he had with other women. Elizabeth had two children, Alfonso and Constanza, future Queen of Castilla. Alfonso showed signs from a very young age of having a violent and rebellious character, partly due to the preferences that his father showed for his natural children. On two occasions, Alfonso promoted civil war in his country and declared himself against his own father. Elizabeth worked unbelievably with her kindness, with her extraordinary capacity for sacrifice, and her power of conviction until she got the son and the father to make peace. There are letters that confirm this. For example, when she wrote to her husband, like an enraged wolf whose little son is going to be killed, I will fight not to let the king's weapons be launched against our own son. But at the same time, I will first destroy the weapons of my son's armies before they shoot at his father's followers. To his to her son she wrote, by Holy Mary the Virgin, I ask you to make peace with your father. Look how the warriors burn houses, destroy corpses, and destroy everything. Not with weapons, son, not with weapons. We will fix the problems. We will fix the problems dialoguing, obtaining arbitrations to settle these conflicts. I will make the king's troops move away and the son's claim will be attended to. But please remember that you have a very serious duties with your father as a son and as a subject of the king. And so she got peace over and over again. Before he died, her husband asked for forgiveness to God. And then Elizabeth dedicated the rest of her life to helping the poor, helping the sick, helping religious, building shelters for the homeless, hospitals, free schools for girls. At the same time, she dedicated herself to praying and meditating. She was an old and sick when she learned of the dispute between her son and her grandson. So she decided to undertake a very long journey in order to establish peace between those two. On that trip, she died in a convent of the Poor Clares on July 4th, 1336. She sought to establish peace again, knowing that this was what God wanted and that with God we always win.